What's up, chess player? Today I want to show you a chess game, a real tournament chess game where I defeated a Stockfish. You are gonna ask, how the hell is that possible? Are you a god or something? No, I'm not a god, but in this game some miracle happened. So let me show it to you. That was a King's Indian defense, a very popular opening, of course, and I'm playing here b3, and my opponent knew it. So he prepared a huge, a long, not theoretical, but a computer variation, a very sharp, spicy line, so that it's almost impossible for a human being to find all of the right moves, because here after bishop a3, he just ignores the threat altogether. The rook is hanging, he doesn't care. He plays e4, opening up the diagonal, attacking this knight, and yes, objectively, it's a little bit better for white, and I knew it, and I still couldn't do anything because it's a real fucking computer playing against me. I mean, what am I supposed to do? It was so difficult to handle all the pressure. Even more important it is that I have managed to overcome this whole opening computer preparation and win this game. Let me show you how I did it. So I took the rook because I knew there should be something active. If I'm not taking this rook, I don't have anything at all, and my opponent has a beautiful position. But once I'm exchanging this bishop, now this monster on g7 has no opponent along the whole long diagonal. I mean, that is just incredible for black. Moreover, he plays e3 and putting even more pressure on my position. What should I do here? I'm having a choice between f3 and f4. I don't like both, to be honest, because if I play f4, I'm weakening a lot of squares here, knight g4, knight f2, and I was thinking, yeah, I don't know, feels pretty dangerous here. I don't want to get into that. But if f3, then I'm closing my bishop, and that is, of course, not a nice thing to do. But I thought my biggest goal is to stop my opponent's computer moves, because he's making it instantly. He wants just to put it on my face. I know everything here. You're playing against computer. You can do anything you want. You're gonna lose. I'm gonna just destroy you because I'm 3,500 rated. You're 2,400 rated. You have no chances. So I'm playing here f3. I'm hoping that, okay, maybe at least here he doesn't know all of the variations till that. And that was a very good strategy. He played knight d5 instantly. He still knew that that is the right move. But then I played c3, and that is already not a good move according to computer. And my opponent still made the best move, knight to c6. So maybe his preparation was over here. I played f4 now, opening up this bishop, trying to create some threats here. Because, well, if I'm not creating any threats, he's gonna bring all of his pieces and just destroy me immediately. And the problem here was that he can take on c3 and then take on d4, and I at least thought that I'm gonna bring my pieces out, and that is already an achievement for me, even though I lose a pawn. He plays c6 to stop knight d5, then the bishop comes out, rook comes out, and the engine would of course destroy me. But from this point, starting from this point, I'm finally playing against a real human being, and that is a huge relief for me, because yeah, playing against computer is just a nightmare. I don't know, don't understand you guys who are playing against engine voluntarily. I mean, why are you doing that? Why do you love to suffer? I mean, that's so weird. So he played here knight d4, which is already blundering quite a huge part of the advantage for black, because now I'm not losing a pawn. We still have exchanged. I mean, every pieces that are going off the board, that is very good for me, because it's simpler for me to handle all of the pressure, all of the threats. But of course, still, he's coming with everything out, bishop out, rook out, and then it's going to be very tough for me. And for me, it's still very difficult. I mean, I have no moves for this knight. The queen is clumsy. The rooks are not developed. It's still very, very difficult. So what should you do in such a situation? Come up with some tactics. That's what I did here. I played the move knight e3. I'm just saying, I gift you the knight. Please take it. Of course, there is a trick. If you take it, I'm just exchanging it. I'm taking this one on d5. And remember what I said. You have some material down, but your opponent has the initiative. Exchanging the pieces is the best thing you can do, because the more pieces are off, the simpler it is to handle everything. So instead, he played the move knight to c3. And now he's threatening my queen, but I don't care. I'm threatening your queen. So we are playing basically without the defense at all. Everything is hanging, and we are just punching. ourselves around here. He plays queen takes d4 because if you take this queen, then yeah, I guess it's not such a big problem. I guess the best thing for me and sorry, the best thing for black here is just to leave the queens somehow on the board. I don't know, e7, a6, somewhere. And I of course realize that because once the queens are off the board, it's so much simpler for me. So queen a6 followed up by bishop out, rook out was the right strategy to do. Instead, what happened is queen takes d4, but now takes, and I felt pretty relieved because not only I'm playing against a human being now, but also it's an endgame, and I feel like a fish in the water in the endgames, especially when I'm in an exchange up, even though, of course, he has a pawn for it. Objectively, it's equal, but I felt like, okay, from now on, should be fine. Although, I was completely wrong with that. So, let's see what happened. h5, king to g2, and I'm playing h3. I want to create some counterplay because my rooks are not doing anything. Playing rook c1 is not that great because pawn is hanging. Playing a4 was my idea, but then b3 is hanging. I mean, a lot of difficult problems there. So I decided to just play on the king side where I don't have any difficulties. So why not? Let's try something there. Let's get some space. I have played g4. And now suddenly after takes, I thought, wait a minute. Maybe I cannot take with a pawn, but take with a bishop here. And that would, at least that would be a move with a tempo. I'm provoking my opponent to do something, and I want to once again exchange more pieces. I want to bring my king on f3 once we exchange the bishops and so on. What I haven't realized, because I was sort of in time trouble by now, that after bishop d5, bishop f3, suddenly this bishop on f3 is pinned. And so my opponent has a chance to take on e2, and he used this chance. He took it there, and my rook is hanging. But in fact, it's not that dangerous. It's completely fine for me, fortunately, because I completely blundered it. So it was my luck that the variations actually worked out for me. Maybe my intuition helped me somehow. It's yeah, often is the case. So now bishop to f3 back. That is a very important moment because if I take here the bishop, then he takes on f4. That's a fork, and I don't have anything. In fact, I don't know, 27 pawns down in the end of the variation. So that is definitely not the right thing for me. But if I play bishop f3, suddenly both of the pieces are hanging. And after knight f4, king g3, still both pieces are hanging. You don't have bishop e5 because I take it, and otherwise you lose one of the pieces. And that is, of course, great for me. I don't care how many pawns you have. At least I can try to take it one by one and win the game. That was my plan. My opponent played here e2, I took, and rook e8. Of course, he's threatening to promote. I cannot play king to f2 because of knight d3 check. So rook e1. Now knight d3 is not that great because of rook takes e2, although it still has been played, because the idea was to play knight c1 at the end of the day. And yes, even though I have an extra piece, he has a lot of pawns, and so he said, well, try to win this position. And of course I did. I did it not maybe the ideal way according to the engine. I mean, such a position, it's almost impossible to find all of the right moves according to the engine. For example, here, you can try it for yourself, but my chances are you're never going to find it. The right move is knight h3. Just blocking this pawn altogether with an idea to play knight b5 and then take one of the pawns here. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about b4, b5 plan. I decided to go for knight e5 because I felt that's the most active one, and well, that's what I'm teaching my whole life. You should always try to be as active as possible. Guys, before somebody stopped me, I tried to tell you that yeah, I was going to find the most active way, the most aggressive way, and that is what I did. Knight takes a2. Now bishop d5 is not that great because of king g7, and I don't have a convenient way to take this pawn. You take with bishops and king to f6. Both of the pieces are under attack. King f4, g5, king f4, knight c3 check, and all of a sudden this king is in trouble. There is no way to save all of the pieces. Or yeah, just take a draw, but that is not what I wanted. Knight takes f7, then suddenly this bishop once again can be attacked. Bishop c4, b5. I mean, that's not great. So my plan was here to play knight c6, attacking the a7 pawn, and the knight e7 check, knight d5, and there is no way for black to save all of the pawns. So my opponent played b5, I took it, a4, and so in the end of the day I took the a3 pawn, and we have here 2 against 1, and I have an extra bishop. And it seems like a huge advantage for me, but in fact it's such a simple draw. for the engine at least, and even from a human perspective, it wasn't that difficult for my opponent to make a draw. But I managed to win this game. Somehow I managed to put some pressure on him and he collapsed eventually. So let me show you how I did it. Bishop f3. First of all, I'm just not allowing this knight to come closer. I thought that's a clever strategy. But the problem is my opponent is playing g5 immediately and then king f2, f5. And he just wants to exchange this one last pawn, and that's going to be an immediate draw. So I played bishop c6 and then h4. I want to save it because if I take, that's game over. I mean, I can try to play bishop and knight against the knight, but it's nothing. I mean, that's not realistic, especially in terms of classical chess. In h6, now he's threatening to just attack this pawn, and that's going to be game over because I cannot protect it. There is knight e2 check, and the king has to go away. So I played bishop e8. I just literally physically stopped my opponent from going forward. But now f4, and I cannot go forward, and it's not that simple for me. Of course I can activate my knight, what I did, but here there is a very simple way for black to make a draw. So try to find it. I give you 5 seconds. I'm gonna wait here and make some stupid comments. Meanwhile, hopefully you have found it. So the right move is knight to e4 check. I don't care where the king is going, and just knight d6. You're attacking this bishop, and there is no square along the diagonal for the bishop available, and otherwise the king is just going here. I could, of course, go here, and then still knight d6, then king to h5, and bishop a8 is not possible, king to g3, you can just play f4, you don't care about the pawns as long as you take this one on h4. For some reason my opponent didn't play it. He was in some kind of a time trouble here, so he played f4, which is still a draw, but I thought, now I'm covering this d6 square, and at least it's not going to be that simple for my opponent, and that is the most important thing. That is exactly what I needed. Knight f4, king g1, because I didn't want to get into some kind of checks here. Knight to f6, bishop f7, king g7, and knight f5. And suddenly I'm protecting this bishop, and there is no way to get near the pawn. And the right move is very tough here as black. I mean, king h6 is still... no, king h6 is already completely losing here. This position is so difficult that even the engine, it says it's plus 0.5, so that means a draw. And the right move is f3, but once you make it, it says it's plus 3 for white, which means it's winning. So, I mean, that's crazy here, but it feels like already a very, very difficult position to handle, especially for a real human being, especially if you're in some trouble in terms of time. So he played king to h6, but now king h2. I guess it's a pretty smart way to come up with, to create a problem for your opponent, because I cannot play bishop e6 immediately because of king h5. And in case of king h2, you don't really want to play g3 because then king to g2, I'm controlling everything here. f3, I have king to g3, and it's just not that convenient. My opponent played king to g7, but now I have bishop e6. Now my king is near enough, so that after king to h6, I can take it with a bishop. Remember, you can never take it with a knight, because this position is always a draw. No matter whether I take this pawn, you can never promote it if your bishop is the wrong square here. Dark square's bishop would win, light square's bishop doesn't. So that is why king h6 is a bad move here. My opponent played g3 out of desperation, but here, of course, you feel that it's already going the wrong direction. Knight d3, now I'm just picking up all of the pawns. Should be very careful with this bishop. I can never let these knights be exchanged, so there are still some issues, but here, for example, after knight to f2, I'm not taking the knight, that is an immediate draw, but I'm taking this pawn here, and with the knight and the pawn, you always win, so there is no danger. So, king f6, I'm taking this f4 pawn. Still, I should be a little bit careful, but shouldn't be that difficult. I just need to cut all of the squares, and I thought for the first time in my entire life I'm gonna get a position where I have a bishop and a knight against the king, and I need to give a checkmate, and I hope I would be able to do that. By the way, let me know in the comments if you want me to create a video how should give a checkmate with a bishop and a knight. But I also have this pawn, and that of course allows me to win the game even without showing the skills of giving a checkmate like that. So, king to f4, I'm just pushing his pieces back, and I'm pushing this pawn. I'm relocating my knight because I thought, well, I have to find a good square. I thought that that e5 should be a good square, but somehow he's playing so passively that I have a chance to just attack this knight, because if I exchange it, my bishop for a knight, the game is immediately over, and the bishop has, sorry, the knight has no moves to go. So he played knight to h6, the last trick. If I take with the king, it's a stalemate, a draw, of course, but knight takes, now there is a g7 square, the game is over, he resigned here. I hope it was instructive for you. That concludes the whole German chess championship under 25 years. I have got my title, as you can see on my background here, and that's gonna follow all of my videos from now on. I hope that was inspirational for you to follow my journey, because literally that was my dream, and I'm gonna try to create a video out of the journey as well, to make some kind of nice looking video for you, like a clip, like a movie of what happened during the tournament live there, because I have some footage out of it. And the games itself, I hope it was instructive. I hope you could have learned a lot out of it. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Hit the like button, support me, to support our community, to support the whole chess on YouTube, because of course for YouTube it's very important that it sees that you support the content. So thank you very much for being with me this entire tournament. And of course, it's not the end of the life, it's just one tournament. And the next goal for me is to get to a Grandmaster norm, to get the Grandmaster title, because that is the biggest title you have in chess. And of course, that's a huge achievement, which might or might not be possible for me. In every case, I'm going to do my best to achieve it as fast as possible.